Victor Wembanyama didn't just get ejected. He may have changed this entire series in one split-second mistake. Because this isn't only about a flagrant 2, and it's not only about whether the refs got it right. It's about something much bigger now. How far can Minnesota push Wemby physically? How far will San Antonio let it go? And what happens when a franchise player decides he has to protect himself? The Spurs may still be the better team, but if Wemby loses control again, this series could flip fast.
Yes, we have news. I'm going to actually say it while I'm on with you guys.
Thank you.
There will be no further discipline for Victor Wembanyama after he elbowed Naz Reid in the face in Minnesota on Sunday night. He was ejected for this play. Multiple sources tell me, though, that there's not going to be a suspension, no fine. He will be playing in Game 5 as I am going to try to get this out.
Absolutely,
you guys can have reactions.
Yeah, let
right
your
now.
Twitter pop off. Always thank you for directing us on how to respond here, Sean. I appreciate you in the middle of your flow right now. This is a big deal because we had seen elbows in the past, more specifically Meta World Peace's elbow to the head. That was pretty aggressive, got a 6-game suspension. So there was suspension for a potential elbow to jaw situation, precedent for it all. He gets none because it's the first time he's been involved in any of this. I think Wemby sets a tone for people like, hey, I'm about sick of the way I'm getting treated, not only to people he's going to play against, but also I think the league as a whole, fans as a whole. And this is great news for me as a fan of basketball to be able to watch him play.
Do listen to Big Perk, and I know I heard him saying all day he actually thought that Wemby should be suspended, but he's not. He's back. The series is going back to San Antonio. So Big Perk, what does this mean now? This is a best 2 out of 3 series.
It is. And I expect Wemby to come out and give a special performance and apologize to his teammates by doing it between the lines. Did the NBA get it right, in my opinion? No, because you prioritize superstardom and views over someone's health. But that's neither here nor there. I'm looking at this to be a brawl for it all. I expect the Minnesota Timberwolves to come out angry because of the decision that was made and because you're going to have the back of your brother Naz Reid. They already been chirping back and forth, but also let's talk about the greatness of Anthony Edwards in this series. He has been basically unstoppable on 2 hurt knees. And so, yes, I know you're asking a lot, but that's going to have to carry over on the road. Also, I'm looking for the Minnesota Timberwolves defense, especially around the perimeter, to step up because although Wemby has been great, De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Vassell, Champagne, all those guys have been having it their way, and we're not accustomed to seeing that against this Minnesota team.
By the way, on Tuesday, the Timberwolves are 9.5-point underdogs against the Spurs, which is where I'll start, because Victor Wembanyama was tossed last night in the second quarter, a flagrant 2. And let me give you the rule book here. A flagrant 1 is unnecessary contact. A flagrant 2, unnecessary contact and excessive contact. Therefore, that can result in an ejection and possible suspension. I think because we like Wemby, we want to see Wemby, we don't think the NBA will suspend him. Now, I go back to PTSD, post-traumatic Stern disorder, when David Stern was the commissioner, because if I brought this up to him and I said if Victor Wembanyama got suspended, and I would have the audacity to question the commissioner, as I once did, you can't suspend him. He already got suspended, really got kicked out of a game in the second quarter, and then he would probably use the word palaver, and then he would scold me. With this commissioner, Adam Silver, do I think... Now, here's the one thing that's tricky with this. And look, I don't agree with what Wemby did. I know that he's getting, jostled. He's getting hit in the face. He's getting pushed. There's a lot of things that go on. This is the way that you are going to combat Victor Wembanyama. His skill and his size. They are going to rough him up. We talked about this when the series started. They're going to be physical with him. He's got to be careful. He's got to make sure he's not the one who's going to be the enforcer. That's where you have a guy come off the bench and say, all right, why don't you smack Anthony Edwards here? I mean, this is what happens in baseball. You kind of police yourself here. You can't be throwing elbows. You can't. And I disagree with the coaching staff, with the Spurs. Yes, it's physical. It's playoff basketball. But there's a better way to do this than me losing Wemby for an entire game that you probably should have won. But I think that's going to be, as we move forward, how does San Antonio protect Wemby? How do they let Minnesota know you're not going to get away with that again? But watching that last night, it's above and beyond, and it's excessive, and I wouldn't rule out a suspension. I mean, I've been around the NBA for over 50 years. I wouldn't rule out that they would suspend him. Now, if it's the regular season, he would probably be suspended. If this would have been a fourth quarter flagrant 2, then he'd probably be out for this next game. But watching that last night, you watch it in slow motion, it doesn't help. Now, not that the officials get to look at that, but the commissioner does. And that's where you look at it and you go, it's beyond excessive. Like he was hoping to connect with somebody. I get the frustration level, but you're the best player on the floor. You can't be thrown out of a game because you want to let everybody know you're not going to take this. Do we have the coach of the Spurs, Mitch Johnson? Here we go.
It's getting to a point that if the people that are in charge of controlling the game and protecting the physicality of the game don't do that, then at some point he's going to have to protect himself. We've been asking him to do that now for a while. I'm glad he took matters into his own hands. Again, not in terms of hitting Naz Reid, but let me be very clear about that. I'm glad Naz Reid was okay, and I didn't want him to elbow him, but he's going to have to protect himself if they're not. And I think it's disgusting.
That's a playoff voice there with the coach of the Spurs. You can't do it. You can't. Now, I know he wants to side with Wemby, wants to, let him know that he has his back. As a coach, you got to make sure that you keep your cool with this. You don't like it happening. You just don't want to lose him. Because Minnesota benefits greatly because of that. This is why when Wayne Gretzky was doing, what Wayne Gretzky did, Edmonton, all the other teams he played for, always had an enforcer. If you're going to bang up Gretzky, Dave Semenko or Marty McSorley is going to come in and pound your face. Now, you can't do that in basketball, but I would bring in Kelly Olynyk and say, Kelly, why don't you rough up Anthony Edwards accidentally? I can't lose Wemby. And I do want to have his back, and I know it's frustrating. And there was a play in a previous game where he got pushed from behind. It's going to happen. Michael Jordan didn't get up and fight people when the Pistons' game plan was to knock Mike to the ground. The best player in the game, they roughed him up. But Mike didn't get up and say, I'm going to fight Bill Laimbeer. Now, he probably wanted to, but that's where you have players who will do that for you. Great players, that's when, a great player, somebody throws at your head. You've hit 2 home runs. I'm going to throw inside. I'm going to hit you. I don't like it, but this is what happens. And then that's when your pitcher does that to their star player. You police each other. And I hated to see Wemby getting tossed from that game, but I wouldn't rule out. Now, he'll probably be fined. Then, therefore, they'll keep him from being suspended one more game. And it's a second quarter violation. And I think if that was in the fourth quarter, now we'd have a real discussion here. But you're the Spurs. You're favored. Don't screw this up. You're better than Minnesota. Yes, Marvin.
The refs looked at that replay a little bit longer than they normally would have. If it was a regular season game, that would have been a quick flagrant 2. They did not want to eject him from the game yesterday.
No, and you don't want to, but you have to in that situation. It was so excessive, you have to do it. You want to see stars be stars. But I can't have you out there after one of their players saw stars because you hit him in the jaw. You see what I did with that, Todd?
That was nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Was clever.
You got hit, you saw stars. Yeah.
Stars.
Thank you. Yes, Paul.
I watched it about a dozen times, and as Wemby is getting bounced around and the ball is in play, one of the players of the Timberwolves kind of reaches around and hits him in the eye. Not too hard, but he hit him. And he clearly gets in his head, and he loads up and swings. And that's the thing. He could have easily not done it. When you see it, it's hard not to call. Very hard not to call.
Give credit to Anthony Edwards, 16 of his 36 in the fourth quarter. But Minnesota was down 8 points. They come back to win that game.
Being ejected last night for the first time in his career. You can see it here. It's early in the second quarter of the Spurs game 4 against the Wolves. And Victor, he just elbows Naz Reid in the neck. And then you can see Wemby, after he was assessed the flagrant 2, he seems unsure of what that meant. He asked Harrison Barnes. And now I get to ask Shams Charania, because the league, it came to a decision earlier today already, Shams, on Wemby's foul and any potential future consequences. What did the league decide in terms of future discipline here?
Malika, sources tell me that there will be no further NBA discipline for Victor Wembanyama after that elbow to Naz Reid. So no suspension, no fine. Victor Wembanyama is fully clear to play in Game 5 on Tuesday night in San Antonio. The two major things to take into account into the NBA's decision is, one, Victor Wembanyama was ejected for the majority of Game 4. But most importantly, there is no prior history, no prior accounts of any violent activity for Victor Wembanyama, and that clearly played a part in the NBA ruling today. No suspension, no fine for Wemby.
All right, and that's huge, because now the series is all tied up. They're heading back to San Antonio, and we know how consequential Games 5s are when a series is all tied up at 2-2. Shams, thank you very much for that insight. Naz Reid, though, he was on the other side of that elbow. He had this to say about it.
How much did it impact you? How much did it hurt? And have you been hit like that before in this game?
Pain is weakness leaving the body. That's it.
Pain is weakness leaving the body. But with that, Danny Green, there was still some game left to play here. Here's Anthony Edwards facing the Spurs without Victor.
Man, of course, they're a really great team with him on the floor, but they play a lot slower when he's on the floor because, everything is evolved around him. When he's not on the floor, everybody is playing. It's just like, when every team is missing their best player, everybody plays free. They get more shots, more confident.
Okay, so there are some numbers to back that up, right? Because their offensive efficiency, it was better after Wemby was ejected than it was beforehand. It's tough, though, to adjust when you have your star player, your best player leave in the middle of a game. But with that, San Antonio, they had a 4-point lead headed into the fourth. Anthony Edwards, though, he took over.
Making big plays. That's what the stars do.
Ant fired up after that big bucket. And then a few minutes later here, the lead is down to just 2. Naz Reid working. Little handoff there to Anthony Edwards.
Better be up.
And just a little tap on Mitch Johnson afterwards as well. And then 3 minutes left. The Wolves down 1. Naz Reid backing down De'Aaron Fox. Gives it up to Rudy Gobert. And here's where you wonder. Luke Cornett, he held it down inside. But you have to wonder if those easy looks from Gobert just made easier by the fact there was no Victor Wembanyama. Again, attacking the paint with no Wemby to man the middle, and another 35-point game for Edwards. This is the 5th most in NBA history before turning 25, by the way. Under a minute left. Minnesota up 5, looking to close this out. Ayo DeSumo can't get it to go. Naz Reid right there. What did we say? Manning the paint. So Minnesota able to survive here. Here's Anthony Edwards after the big win.
Today is Mother's Day, and so I just wanted to win for my mom, and it was just that simple.
Was she on your mind all day today? Or?
For sure, yeah. I couldn't lose this game for her, for sure.
Anthony Edwards has shared in the past how much Mother's Day means to him and is special for him. Of course, he lost his mom to cancer back in 2015, and Ant's playoff career high of 44 points. It also came on Mother's Day, right, in 2024.
Statements.
And after Mother's Day yesterday, Edwards now has more 30-point games in the playoffs than all other players in franchise history combined here. So certainly Anthony Edwards playing for something incredibly special. On the Spurs side of this, though, here's Mitch Johnson talking about the impact of Wemby's ejection.
He's gotten chucked. He's gotten pushed down in transition, running freely, all the stuff. He doesn't complain one time. We don't complain because we're just going to play. We don't really excuse my language, but at some stage he should be protected. And if not, he's going to have to protect himself. And unfortunately, stuff like that happens.
All right. So interesting insight there from Mitch Johnson as we say hello to Big Perk, welcoming Perk into the show. Perk, I'm curious your reaction here because no suspension for Victor. I'm not sure that I would say that that's the reason they lost the game, right? The Wolves, they started attacking the paint though more. Rudy had some dunks down the stretch. How did you see Victor being out impacting this one?
Well, to be honest, obviously it stopped them from being able to get to the cup. But this was all about Anthony Edwards. This was Anthony Edwards embracing and taking over the moment, and he wasn't waiting on anyone else. He was going to get that win. We heard him in the post-game interview talking about he was going to get that for his mama. That was deep in his soul because he did just that. And obviously it opens it up when you don't have your defensive player of the year in the middle to anchor it. So Ant did a fine job of picking that balance and getting down here. But DG, Malika, can y'all listen? This has been an exciting series.
Yes,
outside of what happened last night. This perimeter play, these guards, Anthony Edwards, Dylan Harper, Jaden McDaniels, Champagne, that's his name. Yeah, they've been bumping.
High level.
They've been getting their feet hot, and I love it.
Yeah, certainly. I think that this has been the best series so far of the second round, without a doubt. But Danny, you noticed a direct impact, right? No Victor Wembanyama. How were the Wolves able to take advantage?
We give a lot of credit to Anthony Edwards, but Cornette too did a great job. But they were attacking the rim, they were attacking the paint, and when they saw Cornette. Cornette is a good big, can move laterally, but doesn't take up as much space and can recover as fast as Wemby. You see Anthony Edwards come off the screen here, sees little Cornette up high. I'm going to go right at the rim. And Cornette usually can get back, but he's not. Said Wemby can probably get that shot. Lou Cornette can't. Same thing here. Get another screen and roll. Got Cornette in it. You got a little mismatch one-on-one. He has decent foot speed, and Wemby has good foot speed too. But Wemby, again, takes up so much area. He can give more ground. Lou Cornette has to be up on the three-point line to contest these shots and get back. As you see in Sunday's game, 38 drives, shots off drives, second most under Chris Finch. Ironically, the game before, they had 32 kickouts.
Right.
That was the most kickouts under Chris Finch. And this was the second most drives or shots off drives since Chris Finch has been a coach here. So they're getting a lot more open looks, and they're being more aggressive attacking the rim, which they should. And that'll change in Game 5.
Yeah, because you know that in Game 5 now, Victor Wembanyama is going to come back with a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Sure.
Not because I wasn't sure in real time. As I watched it back, it was a kind of a textbook flagrant 2 foul, right? But Victor, give him any sort of kindling, he will light that fire. And I certainly expect that in this Game 5.